Welcome to Let's Talk About CX, a show that will help you improve your customer experience and provide you ideas on how to amaze and delight your customers. We feature experts and authors from around the world who share their view and give you tips and tricks for great CX. And now, here's your host, Sultan Simlali.
Hi, and welcome to Let's Talk About CX. My name is Sultan Simlali, and I have a passion for customer experience. Where it started, I'm not entirely sure. It might be because I grew up in Brussels where my parents had shops. I helped on an almost daily basis after school. Customer experience can be small things like bringing groceries to an older lady who lives a couple of blocks away, or making sure that you always have the right products for your customers at the right time. And in this podcast, I'm meeting thought leaders and people who are working in the broad area around customer experience, and sometimes some very special guests. And today is one of those days. I'm meeting Tom Libelt. I have been trying to prepare a biography for Tom, but it's been tough, as he's really a one of a kind person. So I decided to make a list of keywords. So what I need to think about Tom Libelt, I would think about marketing and sound engineering degrees, Polish hip hop, digital marketing, SEO, sound engineer for Fuji's, Alicia Keys, MOP, All Dirty Bastards. So all hip hop heads listening, watching this episode will know who we're talking about. Commodore 64, DJ, 4 Hour Work Week, movie maker, podcasting, and so on. So yeah, it's an exciting episode today. So hi Tom, and thanks for joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Love the intro, and I like the keyword idea. That is so smart.
That's the lazy part, it's
That
the
is so,
four hour.
no. This is the thing, man. Like, it's super difficult to come up with super easy ways to do things, right? Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
it is not easy to be lazy in a good way,
Yeah.
right? There's a difference between I just don't want to do it, but I want to do something um, in the simplest way. That is hard. That is not a
Mhm.
lazy in a bad way type thing. It's hard. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. No, thanks. Thanks. Yeah, I think it's Lincoln that used to say, yeah, just to cut a tree, give me 10 hours to sharpen my axe and 1 hour to chop it down. So uh, the simplest things are sometimes the hardest one. But
Yeah. That's exactly the method, like give something thought for 3 weeks and then execute in 15 minutes and now do your competition that's going to struggle with the same thing for months. I do that a
yeah,
lot. So I really appreciate, like simple things like that.
yeah. So you're a jack of all trades. So what are you currently doing, Tom? Let's start like this.
So at the moment, and we've been doing it for a couple of years now with the team, we've moved into marketing online courses for course creators. And we exclusively do that now. Initially it was a pretty small niche, but I was one of the first ones in it. So,
Hmm.
when we gave it a shot, it was introduced like 8 years ago. Um, but since COVID happened, the scene, the niche, I wouldn't even say quadruple, like maybe even 7x. And there's so many platforms and players now. And the thing is, we've put in so many reps with our business, with my
Hmm.
marketing. We're still one of the best ones and, booked up solid. So I'm staying in it, but it's just interesting, like kind of being in the right place at the right time, and the
Hmm.
growth that happened, I can't take any credit for it, but yeah, we're definitely riding the wave.
Okay. When you're speaking about online courses, what are you thinking about, or what kind of courses are we talking about?
Well, we've done many different things as an agency before. We've helped e-commerce, we've done SEO, we've done, helped agencies. We run so many different things, right? And then end of the day, online courses, I would say are almost a perfect business if done correct, right?
Mhm.
One, much easier to control, right? With anything where you're running like an e-commerce or anything, right? Like really dependent on SEO, on Facebook, on things, right? Because it's, you're building a brand. With
Mm.
online courses, a lot of it is selling to your own audience. So, there's some steps before if you want to do it properly, right? We're going to control your audience and building it stuff. But, if you just think of that part, as you're able to control it, that's a huge piece of the table, right? There's little risk once you control
Mhm.
your audience. But then, many people do get that done. And the problem for them is either lack of hours, right? So when you're thinking
Mhm.
of speakers and coaches and things like that, like I make a lot of money, I sell things, but there's so many hours in a day. Even Tony Robbins has only so
Mhm.
many hours in a day, and he's
Yeah.
number one in that spot. Then the other part is when you're actually providing some kind of a service, fulfillment becomes a pain
Mhm.
at some point, always, and then,
Yeah.
when as you scale, either the pain is just the management or, hiring the right people or motivate, so courses have almost zero fulfillment. The
Yeah.
only thing you got to nail with courses on the fulfillment part is what you have an expertise in: customer service, making
Mhm.
customers happy. If you can control the sales part and you can control the customer service area, it's a perfect business. And those are not two extremely difficult things to control when you take away all the other risk and other stuff which you would have with a normal business.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the holy grail of a business model. But again, everything has some nuance and you got to get it right. But I just haven't found anything else where I can really look at it. I mean, I guess, some startups could be, but then you have coders and then there's a lot of knowledge gap. There's a lot of things in there too, which are problematic. Unless you get to scale quickly, it's not
Yeah.
easy to run a software company. With a course, you don't need to go to scale super hard because once the course is done, there's no $400,000 coder to support.
No.
You know what I mean? So,
No,
so
it's
that's kind of,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's create once and then multiply. So, without a lot of production costs or reproduction costs because it's hosted somewhere
it's
and
already
people
done.
can
Yeah.
just consume it. Yeah. And what
Yeah.
makes I've been watching those get rich schemes and all those kind of things. How you can be do your online course tomorrow, you'll be rich the day after tomorrow.
Mhm.
So I imagine that not everyone is successful in that. What would make a good course? What would make it successful?
See, that's always the wrong question. That's that
Yeah.
question that, those gurus put in your head by
Hmm.
saying you can build one tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right, because that's the question. And well, what kind of course should I make tomorrow? So that's how
Hmm.
you know it's a scam. That's not
Yeah.
really the path to doing it. Like an easy path, for example, would be, let's say I am doing consulting or I am running a service business, right? And I'm creating systems.
Hmm.
I start to, put these systems. Like initially, it's probably going to be like a do it for you program because that's the easiest to sell when you're starting out. First, you do it for you. Then you start creating systems. Then you start doing sort of a do it with you program in some way.
Hmm.
Then you do, I teach you how to do it type of program, right? And, price
Yeah.
points will change. You can have those running at the same time. Then at some point, as you do the teaching, um, well, you're going to have a lot of problems. Like anytime you try to teach 10 people something, they're always doing their own thing. They always mess up in different ways and it's always a shit show.
Yeah.
So at some point, you will start to either develop a method that works for everybody, or you never go past that step and you'll always be stuck in that position. And a lot of people get
Hmm.
stuck because they never figure out a method where I can actually teach you this and leave you alone. And I know you'll get it done,
Hmm.
right? Because there's different types of coaching, one on one. One is
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to fix all the things that you're messing up. And the other
Hmm.
one is like, I'm just leading you through a program. So those are two different ones. And you got to move from one to the next.
Yeah.
Once you actually have a system that works for every person, you're going to start running into that time constraint.
Hmm.
So group coaching is the next step up from that, like a live cohort or, and it's fine. You can just stay there because, if you have a good system, you can put 400 people in a cohort or a group or 500, doesn't really matter. The only thing you'll have to set up is the customer service and some kind of help on that side.
Yeah.
But if you have a group coaching method that can have hundreds of people going through, the next step is just people who cannot afford the group coaching, move them into an online course. You already have everything set up,
Mhm.
and those always work. If you go through that step type of, the model,
Yeah.
you'll always have a course that's selling, and you'll never ask a question of, which course should work best?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's not going to be something you can set up tomorrow. Like there's a path, to
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those courses, like they do great. They do great. And of course you
Mhm.
can, depending on your knowledge, you can look for things which will make it easier to sell. Right. So something with an external constraint is amazing.
Mhm.
Now, an external constraint means someone might need to pass this exam to get a job, and you teach them to pass that exam. You don't need to introduce urgency or scarcity or anything else. How much is this
Yeah.
course worth to you? Well, how much is the job going to pay you? Why should I take it now? Well, when did they give you a deadline by to take this exam? You know what I mean? Like it's all external, So like there's nothing you have to really introduce except I'm the best person to teach you this.
Yeah.
Right. So there's different ways you can kind of, make some shortcuts for yourself. But in the end, you still got to be good. And the
Mhm.
worst thing for me to tell to an instructor that's not selling well is
Mhm.
it's just you. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with your niche. There's nothing wrong with anything you're doing. It's just you. People don't like learning from you. And I've
Yeah.
seen that work too sometimes, like there'll be three people doing the same thing. One's taking all the money, the second one's doing okay, third one's doing nothing.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing to do. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. Maybe take acting classes. I don't know, do stand up for a while. No idea.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
always so yeah, it's not for everyone. There's no such thing as
No.
like, yeah, make a course and you'll make money. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it smells like scam. Um, Getting back to a word you mentioned, you talked about a system. When you speak about a system, is that um, like the Stephen Covey 7 Habits, for example, or is that what you mean by a system? Like a structure for, yeah,
Uh, yeah, this is
a
a big
framework
topic, right?
to shape your
This is a
thought.
this is a big topic. Yeah. I find systems give me freedom, right? And one way I could sort of explain this is, have you ever tried to learn copywriting or anything of that sort? Like when you actually have to sell to
Yeah.
people by writing?
Hmm.
Okay. Anyone in sales will also understand this. Initially, when you're learning, one method is to copy the best copywriting letters by hand, right? In sales, it might be to run up a sales script that someone gave you,
Yeah.
right? You initially need to really get the constraints down, just so you know the steps to follow, right? Before you can start understanding why you're doing certain things and by finding freedom in them,
Hmm.
because that's when you start getting creative, right? Like initially you steal in a smart way,
Hmm. Yeah.
then you start understanding why these things work and you can get flexible and, but I find, and we can go back to customer service because I think, that's sort of what your audience likes is the better systems I have in my company, which means
Hmm.
the questions that everyone has, we already have answers ready for the foresight of the company, right? So if you come to me with a course and come with many tools, and I'm like, well, I'm foreseeing problems in your future, my friend. And I
Hmm.
quickly tell you what's going to happen, what you should do instead. And these are all systems, right? We set these up, we
Yeah.
upgrade them every quarter. The better experience for a customer there is. Because when they come in, one, every single thing on their path is laid out, from how they go through our service to how the course will go through its steps, and then how our team members will deal with them, because everyone understands their role in every step. But also, in the end, it makes it super easy for us to upgrade the experience, right? Because
Mhm.
if we know that these are the 6 steps that every customer goes through, let's say it's creating a lead magnet, we can start narrowing it in on one of those steps and improve it and improve it, instead of, what a lot of people do, which is, just kind of throw stuff at the wall and then try to pick everything up and hope that it sticks, right?
Yeah.
And then I use systems for in everything in my life, right? Even, going to the gym, like I'll look at the injuries, I'll look at everything, and I'll be like, okay, we're going to do strength training 3 times a week now. We're going to do some kind of cardio twice a week. We'll do it, like, just because it's easier for me. And
Mhm.
I can, easily tweak, right? Let's say if I'm doing cardio right after like a leg day, right? And if I'm doing, let's say, bike or running or something, and my legs are not feeling so well on Wednesday, I know I'm doing cardio on Tuesday, but I want to change it out. Let's do swimming. Let's do, you know what I mean? Like, cause it's super easy
Yeah.
once you put systems in place.
Yeah.
So I found constraints give me freedom, right? And even with starting a new business, I don't start with what I want to achieve. I start with the constraints.
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure,
So what kind of
this is yeah,
constraints you
yeah,
start
yeah, yeah.
looking?
This is gonna, help
Because
a
it's
lot of people.
counterintuitive to say constraints give me freedom. That's why
Yeah,
I.
yeah. So if you've been in business for a longer amount of time, anyone listening to this, you will often hustle your way into a corner that you don't like to be in. Whether it's just a hustle mentality, too many employees, clients not working out, just whatever it is.
Mhm.
The way I like to set it up is I try to figure out how I want my life to be first and then get the business work. So for me, since I do like to travel, I have offices in different locations, different continents. Constraint one, I cannot have a business where I have to be on from 9 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. Won't happen. Two, internet might not be great all the time. I cannot have a business where I need to be on calls at certain times in a week because I don't know what's going to
Yeah.
happen. I can't have a business where I need more than 5 employees. Personal reason. I just don't like it. I start, I got to get a manager, account, whatever. I don't want it. I don't want it. We should be able to grow to 7 figures with 5 people. If not, my systems are wrong, or my niche is wrong, or my offers are wrong. I don't want a business that's relying on only one channel or is supported by one channel. So we're not going to be doing TikTok advertising platform. We're not going to be a Facebook ad company. We're not going to be an SEO only company anymore because
Mhm.
I don't want to deal with Google or Facebook or TikTok, right? I want to be able to
Yeah.
independently get results for myself and save for clients. So we'll never push them into just one thing. And that's what kind of scares me about like a lot of the young people. They're like, oh man, I'm killing it. I'm a TikTok agency. Yeah, I've been there. Uh, just wait.
TikTok is blocked in the US. What do you do? Yeah.
Just anything,
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yeah.
Like for a
Anything
little
can
bit,
happen.
like,
Yeah.
the crypto space, right?
Yeah.
Insane until it wasn't.
Yeah.
And you seem like it just kind of disappeared overnight. The VC
Mhm.
funding dried up. There's a hilarious news thing I've seen the other day where um, the first, I think it was the first NFT like museum or kind of restaurant, themed restaurant that accepted crypto stopped accepting crypto the moment it crashed. But this is exactly what happens because there was no constraints in place. It was just a vision. And
Yeah.
the vision for it's super easy, right? Like I want to be doing anything in the crypto space. I want to do anything in the Web 3.0 space. TikTok's hot. I want to do anything in TikTok. This is the dream, which I stray away from.
Mhm. Yeah.
I look at the constraints. And the constraints usually come from one, things you don't want to do, things that from experience before, have put you into a corner that you didn't like.
Yeah.
Because I've been there. I've run many businesses and a lot of them sucked in the end.
Hmm.
That's why I stopped it because I was in the corner. I was like, and it's much easier getting out of that corner than starting a new thing sometimes.
Yeah. 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 So putting all those constraints, and then when you've put all those constraints, like the one you described, uh, you probably then need to look at what you are well willing to do, or at least. So how do you choose what you want to do by removing the constraints?
Yeah. So since I've been like 20 years old, I've never really had to pick in that
Hmm.
way because when you're running a business, there's always different opportunities that come in your path,
Your way, yeah. Yeah.
and then you just sort of have to decide which out of these 20 are worth even looking at. Most of your time should be spent saying no. But if
Hmm.
there is one, then you put the constraints and then you see what kind of business could this be? And with all the constraints in place, is this even possible?
Hmm.
And then you look at a lot of things, right? You look at, not only your skill set, your team's skill set, you look at the audience, the possible global audience, right? Like when we started doing the course thing, there were only around 110,000 course creators on the planet. So our question was, do we become a commodity, a productized service, or a high-end boutique?
Hmm.
And with such a small audience, high-end boutique was just the way to go. You
Yeah.
know, you need only a handful of really good clients, and we're set. And those other things are fine too on your value ladder, but you just need to focus in, depending on your audience. So this is something that's different for everyone. But I personally, and I've tried, you know, had a long resume. I've tried doing things which just didn't come naturally or in my path because I thought it was a good idea. They never worked
Hmm.
out.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. You need to
always,
go through.
yeah, we always missed it in some way. Either just the offer was wrong or we realized we're not interested,
Hmm.
in doing it very quickly. Or we, did not have the expertise, realized the partner also didn't know what they were doing and it was just too much work to, bridge that gap. Like every time we tried to go outside of our comfort zone too much with the offer, it fit out flat.
Yeah. 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 So it's all about shifting in comfortable ways or stretching a little your comfort zone.
It's sort of,
And
it could be more of
yeah.
reinventing yourself, right? But when you're reinventing yourself, you still got to realistically look at what your are, weak strengths, everything is. You don't go from, well, I'm kind of tired of being this fireman guy to now I'm going to be a swimmer.
Mhm.
Like, that's not really a stretch. That's just, what we doing, you know? And what I see in the industry, and it's kind of sad, and this is more of that, that TikTok mindset. Someone just starts getting known for something and they always think the grass is greener somewhere else and they try to jump and they don't realize they're starting from scratch again.
Yeah.
Like all the, trust they built up in that one thing, unless you're really famous, that's, that the
Mhm.
rules go out, don't transfer. They don't transfer. They only transfer for famous. And with courses too, with like a famous person can break a ton of the rules and still make things up.
Yeah.
But for anyone normal, that's not the way it works.
No, just some organics. Actually, it's an organic growth of your business or of your career, uh, built by constraints. Yeah. Yeah. I like the way to go. So if we go back to the online courses, let's say I'm building my online course. Um, I'm amazing at making cappuccinos. Uh, how do I sell those courses? So should I put on YouTube? Do I need to build websites? How do people go about it actually?
I mean, you do need a simple sales funnel of some sort. You gotta have
Mhm.
something where you grab people's attention. You gotta bring them in. get them to trust you somehow. I don't know, YouTube, email, like it doesn't matter. Like I look more at the sales sequence than the actual funnel of like where. And the where is more like, where's your audience?
Yeah.
For cappuccino, probably YouTube, probably Pinterest, maybe some Facebook groups,
Mhm.
maybe that foodie area on Twitter. We'd have to test some of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
TikTok, maybe, but we find out that TikTok quality audience for things like that is just really poor, same as Facebook
Mhm.
or those type
Yeah.
of, like cappuccino type things. So I probably just from experience say maybe let's not spend too much time on those at the moment. But yeah, like you still got to go through the regular sales process.
Yeah.
There's no such thing like, what, yeah, I mean, I don't know. You don't need to website. I guess you can use, like one of those no code tools or a platform. The question is, do you want to do it efficiently, easily? What's your budget? Like there's, because there's so many ways to skin this cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want
That's
control?
right.
so,
Yeah.
so many different things.
Yeah. And this is actually you and your team come in then. So I come as this cappuccino expert, which I'm not. You come as this expert. You have your course. Maybe you all have your system or your structure, and you guys help those guys actually get a good definition of the market audience, where to find them, setting up the course that look professional, I imagine, and then make sure that the course is being spread and that
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are
So,
making
so
money.
this,
Yeah.
this really depends on, what resources you're coming with and where you're at.
Yeah.
Because we help six-figure course creators get to seven figures. That's a very different
Yeah.
bucket that we work
Yeah.
with. We help the five-figure ones get to multiple platform, like some six-figure, mid-six figures, also different one. We help the initial validation ones, but also very different bucket, right? And what you mentioned would be that last bucket, which is I need to validate this course. I need to, make sure it even sells.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would really look at what resources you have. Like you would laugh at some of the sales conversations we have because most of it with validation people is me pushing back and trying to talk you out of it.
Mhm.
And only the people who don't get talked out of it by me
Mhm.
will let them come on board. But
Yeah.
usually for validation people, I'm like, why are you even doing this? Did anyone ask you to create this course?
Yeah.
Why now? What if it
Yeah.
fails? Why would you create it before you validate? There's like so many things I push back on because, I
Yeah.
find the validation is the most risky part, right? So why are we doing it this way? And then, I start to explain, like, let's say you get, a little bit down the road, in the
Mhm.
conversation, I'll start getting constraints in place for you. Like I had one guy, who I told him it's not going to work, but I let him try it. He's like, a great bonus for this course would be to let anyone who signs up have an hour consulting call with me. I
Mhm.
was like, yeah, of course, it's great for them. And we hit it out the gate pretty hard. And I think within this first week, he had 80 calls outside of just doing his regular business, right? And he
Yeah.
shut them down very quickly. As I told him you would. I told him the better way. Now, so the constraint there was like, any business where you're not doing personal 1 hour calls with people. And now you know why,
Yeah.
right? But that's a simple constraint, right? And what we've done instead is we moved him into, I'm going to do an AMA at 8 p.m. every second Friday of the month.
Yeah.
All the new people get to come in and ask me whatever they want for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Accomplish pretty much the same thing. And he loved it, but
Yeah.
that's sort of where I moved him from. I was like, based on the constraints and everything and my experience, let's do that instead. Um, but yeah, you have to, think these things through too a little bit.
Yeah.
Because even a course can become a horrible business model without constraints.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
one of the things now that's super popular is the cohorts. You've probably seen that everywhere.
Yeah.
Live cohorts,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ali Abdal does that now for YouTube
Yeah. And they're great. And they're
Academy,
great.
and yeah, yeah.
But again, it depends on you and your lifestyle. Like I have a buddy of mine, and he's doing roughly 400,000 a year with the cohorts, but
Oh,
he hired instructors to teach every single one. So he doesn't touch them at all.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'm
we were able to introduce urgency, scarcity, expertise, everything in these and take away his time, even for those
yeah,
cohorts. Yeah. Perfect
yeah.
business.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, I've been watching the Tony Robbins documentary on Netflix, and then you see that he's doing the main show on stage, but then all the coaching for those 5,000 people screaming and dancing during these 3 4 days, they're being coached by other people. So Tony
Yeah.
Robbins could just focus on his gig and
Yeah.
let the rest of his gang run actually the business. And he just needs to speak to 2 or 3 people a day. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's a smart way to scale. Yeah,
I mean, there's different ways, right? Like Tony Robbins had
yeah,
to figure out his constraints too before he went nuts.
yeah, yeah,
Like every single one of us has to do that. Like all the
yeah,
things I'm gonna, figure out because otherwise, like again, you get backed into a corner. And I think Tony was at that too. Like I listened to one of his old tapes, and he was, on the road, like he said, 300 something days a year, and flat broke,
yeah,
and he couldn't figure out why. No constraints, no oversight. I was like, how was this man so famous, selling so much stuff, spending all his time on the planes, which suck, and then he's broke?
yeah. Yeah. So freedom by constraints. I think that's how I'm gonna call this episode. How can you get happy and find freedom by constraints? I think for all the professionals listening to this today will probably find some ways into recognizing how we sometimes put ourselves in corners, being entrepreneurs or in corporate. So if I look at my experience, especially during the pandemic, because it was easy to have Zoom calls, I was sometimes spending 10 hours in Zoom calls a day, completely swamped and not delivering any kind of value, or at least
Sorry to hear
losing
that.
energy instead of getting it. Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of people struggling in that period, which is okay, but then you need to put some constraints to yourself and blocking some time, protecting yourself, and make sure that, uh, yeah, if you don't do that, you gotta feel crap, and it's gonna impact your business, gonna impact your life, um, and that's not a place where you want to be.
Yeah, just like, I find creativity and boredom.
Hmm.
And
So
I've
are
done a
you?
couple.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Just, I spoke with quite a few people, and they asked me what's like my main goal in business is, and then for the most part, it's to get bored. When your business is running really, really well,
Yeah.
it gets boring because you're
Hmm.
not needed much. And in that boredom, if you just lean into the boredom, because most people try to fill their time with podcasts and other nonsense all the time, which are great at small amounts, but if it's too much, it's just noise and procrastination. If you lean into the boredom, I find that's where all my creativity comes from.
Yeah.
Because I can't stay still for very long. So if you give me 6 hours of doing nothing, there's going to be some ideas coming up and I'll be bursting at the seams after a while, especially if I get a couple of days like that. So my goal usually when there's like some, either things are going too good or not good enough, let's let me find that boredom again so I can really figure stuff out.
Yeah. Yeah. To boredom. Yeah. So if you would have one thought for the listeners today to take as a final thought and to get them think about, what would it be?
If you're on the verge of burning out or you're having these weird feelings of I need to hustle more or you are in a hustling mode, you should really look closely at yourself and ask, why am I doing this? You know, because often the answers are not what you think they would be. You know, like, oh, I need to earn more, spend more, all this stuff. And at the end, you're just like, hold on a sec, why? You know, you got to ask yourself maybe why 5 times more. You know, so it could be like, oh, why are you working so hard? I want to make more, but why? Because I want to get this, but why? And at the end, you'll be like, oh, huh. And yeah, look, I get this. In the initial stages, when you're kind of broke and starting out, yeah, hustling is the way to go. You throw stuff, you go
Yeah.
crazy, it's fine. But then you want some more experience that, you got money in the bank, you got a runway of a couple of years. You really got to go into this. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I getting burnt out? Why does this even matter?
Mhm.
You know, oh, I don't like my clients. Why are you working with these clients? Like all of it comes down to that. You really got to start doing that. I find that anytime I'm in a hard spot, that's the first thing I'll do. Or if
Yeah.
I get these weird urges, oh, let's buy some new domains. We should start these businesses. Why? Why in the world are you going to do that? Why? Don't you like your life? Do you want to be miserable for the next 3 years? Is that what you really want to do? And look, sometimes you'll be a good answer. Like, 1 in 1,000,
Yeah.
you'll be like, yeah, but this makes sense. And then, yeah, go through it. But 999, I'll be like, yeah, just stop the nonsense. Just stop it. Throw it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, move on. Get back to business. Make some cold calls.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most ground-earthed um, answers we can give to someone. Um, just do some cold calls. So Tom,
Like, because for 90% of the people asking that question, that's the only thing they're
yeah,
missing. Like, just get back to
yeah,
work.
yeah. Get back to work
Shut
and
this
speak to
podcast
customers.
off. Get back to work.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So guys, before you get back to work, how can people get in touch with you, Tom?
The best way would be either smartbrandmarketing.com.
Mhm.
That's kind of like the umbrella website. You can contact me, or if you have a course and want to see if we can market it, we market on onlinecourses.com.
Okay.
But I've also been pretty active on Twitter. Tom Libelt. Just you can find me there.
Okay.
Lately, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm rediscovering Twitter. I created my account 11
Cool.
years ago,
So
I think. And yeah,
yeah, what I
the
found
conversations
is
there are great. Yeah.
by unfollowing everybody and
Hmm.
refollowing, like, just, keeping it to about 130, 140 people that I just really like, the
Yeah.
experience changed completely.
Yeah.
Because I hated it before, but it was just me not asking myself, why am I on Twitter? And like, why am I following these people?
Yeah. 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 That makes sense. I mean, I've when I started on Twitter, it was like just screaming. You're just standing on a hill and screaming, and nobody's listening or paying attention, and other people just screaming around you. And when you really focus on the people, I mean,
That
everyone
is
can
true.
follow you, and nobody does. It's like you're alone in the desert. But when you follow some great people, that's where the value of the platform comes from, and the conversations you get. So,
This is the
but
same thing people used to
yeah,
joke about at crappy hip hop concerts.
yeah,
There was always more people on the stage than in the audience.
that's true. I mean, it's universal. I think every
Yeah.
seen that in
But
I've seen that in Belgium, I've seen that in Morocco, I've seen that in many places. Yeah, it's true.
that's how you know you're at the wrong spot. You need to leave the club.
It's, uh, so on that hip hop note, I really want to thank you, Tom. I'll also share in your biography there was some Polish hip hop, so I'll go check it out and recommend people also to check it out.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
I think it can be good to listen to Polish hip hop to get back to the grinding mode.
I actually have a few friends who like don't understand anything, but they're like, yeah, we've been listening to it back and forth working on things. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. And everyone, thanks for following this episode. Looking forward to your feedback. Please feel free to reach out to Tom and stay safe, stay happy, and see you soon.